I think that each of us has our own ideas and opinions where it comes to these console makers and the companies and how they do things and how they handle things. And I like that. I think that that kind of back and forth is extremely good. I think that in terms of how gamers are able to go out and just have a good time with the games themselves are the most important thing. Yeah, like the YouTubing and the console warring can be fun, and it can be a bit of a hassle at times too, because again, this is something that a lot of people are going to be interested in terms of the games themselves. Like the rest of it was never really that important to me. I think it's important for there to be sort of this fairness between these companies. You don't want to do anything that's too low or anything like that. And I think that they've really kind of stayed the line and done a really good job kind of getting things going. And, Microsoft took one direction where they bought a lot of studios that were already there and kind of established. Most notably, obviously, like the Bethesda acquisition with all those studios. Sony, on the other hand, a lot of people have to wonder what they're doing, and they've kind of commented on that. And I like what they're saying, to be quite honest with you. I think that what they've said is pretty interesting. And I've got to admit that this is some funny stuff as well, because it's a direct opposite of what Microsoft does. And people are so caught up sometimes in this whole idea that Sony has to do everything the way Microsoft does. So Microsoft has, Game Pass. That means Sony must do something to equal Game Pass. They must offer everything day and date. They must do this. They must do that. Listen, you can rent a house, and that's going to be cheap. But at the end of the day, you're not going to own that house. Or you can own a house, right? You can rent games, and you can rent those games for years. Or you can buy games and have them. Like, you can lease a car and have nothing at the end of it, or you can buy a car and keep it, right? There's a difference. That's how I look at these things. When people try to make it out like, oh, well, Sony's really going to lose out. They keep saying Sony's going to lose out because they have $70 games or because there's no Game Pass. And I'm just like looking at, all these PlayStation 5 selling and the PlayStation 5 exclusives on the top of the charts and the PlayStation version of these games being the top selling. And I kind of have a little chuckle, because obviously that's not the case. With that being said, the way that Sony is doing acquisitions, I find to be very cool. According to this, Sony has a very big acquisition strategy, and it's to wait for studios to mature before buying them. Sony isn't at E3, and believe it or not, that didn't stop them from shedding some light on how they are acquiring studios as a company. PlayStation Studios chairman Herman Hulst shared recently the reason for their recent partnership with Deviation Games. Hulst revealed that PlayStation Studios is growing, expanding, and will continue to do so. And they are also checking out regularly for new encounters. No matter where they come from, big or small, whatever the genres are, if I come across a core group of people that are building a new outfit, that have gained incredible experiences and matured as creatives, and you can take the shackles off, you give them a white sheet of paper, it's just fascinating to see what they're going to be able to do. This is what he said, according to Herman Hulst again. This is somewhat opposite of the rival of what Xbox is doing, since they are most of the time acquiring new studios and adding them to their arsenal. PlayStation Studios instead focuses on their latest lineup of developers most of the time. Hulst revealed that it is a matter of finding ways to bring the most innovative, the highest quality experiences to their audience and to their fans. It actually does not really matter to him at all, because it all depends on how they have it set up in a more organized way. What they want to offer to their gaming community is the best gaming experience they can provide, and it is their job to find out how to do that. So basically, this is really interesting because, as you guys know, they're working with this new company called Deviation Games, and this exclusive has already been in the works for well over a year. But it's still a little while out. So obviously last week Sony announced that it signed a deal with Deviation Games to make a brand new PlayStation IP, the second such deal that they've announced in recent months. Deviation Game was set up in November 2019 by former Treyarch Studios developer Dave Anthony, who actually played a role in the success of Call of Duty Black Ops series, which is very cool if you ask me anyway. He began working on Nazi zombies and made some bonuses with things like that, which were really cool. I remember playing those back in the day. Were a lot of fun. The pair so far have said nothing about the game that they're building, but they did actually kind of share a little bit of light on what's going on. Herman Hulst actually revealed PlayStation has been working with them for well over a year. Obviously, they're not announcing a game, but a partnership, which means it's still a little while out. But at the same time, we've been working together for a while now. It's not like we signed a deal yesterday. We've been working together for about a year and a half, and it's going really well. We have our guys who are actively involved in the development, that play and the stuff that we're actually making. Both Anthony and Blundell wouldn't be drawn to the details of the new PlayStation IP, despite my question. It stands to reason that it would be a shooter, given the pair's pedigree, but that remains unconfirmed for now. However, Anthony insisted that it's a major endeavor, and Hall said it would be considered a AAA game. First of all, regards to the studio, we're actually well over 100 people now. Make no mistake, this game's going to be big in scope. There's no question about it, and we're going to need a lot more people to make that game. Deviation Games, we're growing at a pace we believe is responsible to rise to the challenge. Because the talent density of the team, there's nothing more important to Jason and I than having the right talent density and having the right culture. So alongside what we're doing right now, that's anything to do with the game. We're actually building a studio, and that requires a lot of focus and effort. So it's too early to go into specific about what they're doing, but it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. They're playing cards to the chest pretty tightly here, and they did say that it is a brand new IP. Together, they're bringing a brand new IP to the stands and shoulders of what these guys have learned. So that's really cool. PlayStation Studios expanding and actually kind of going out of their way to make things the way that they like to do things. So he said together they're going to be bringing a new IP that's bold and that stands on the shoulders of what these guys have learned throughout their careers, which I think is really, really good. For Sony, the partnership sounds a lot like a similar deal Sony signed with Jade Raymond and her new studio, Haven Entertainment, which is developing a fresh new IP for PlayStation as well. And when asked about why they're so big on Deviation Games, he talked about how they're expanding and about that's how they like to do things. So they help teams grow, and then if things go well, they kind of buy them out. You know what I mean? So I think that that's super important going forward. That's a really smart way to kind of go about things and to kind of, have things out there and play out, because you want gamers to always have a continual flow of games. You don't want a situation where you have an Xbox with no games for, half a year, or no AAA exclusives for 2 years. I think that that's something that you want to avoid, but you have to be able to look forward to the future. You can't just willy-nilly WB kind of DC universe it, right, where nothing makes sense and it doesn't match up. You've got to Marvel universe it, have everything planned out down the line for 10 years, and I think that that's the biggest difference between Microsoft and Sony. Microsoft seemed to not really have any kind of plans, neither here nor there, and Sony obviously had some pretty big plans and continue to say, okay, well, we're going to have a lull from our studios because they release something here. Let's try and get a deal to get exclusive for our content for our fans, right? And I think that's the biggest difference. It's really like people could sit there and pretend that they're not for the gamers or whatever, that there's one that's more to the gamers or whatever. But, we'll have to see how that goes. I, for one, like the Sony strategy. I think it's very smart. I think it really kind of plays up to what these companies are capable of doing. And it's very exciting, to say the least. So, with that being said, again, I really would appreciate you guys' gaming feedback. Do you like the way that Sony does things, where they kind of nurture these studios, and this studio hasn't even really done anything yet, but Sony's kind of giving them a blank check to go out there and make a game, and then you might see a situation where they go out there and actually buy them after it if this is a success. I mean, there's rumors that they've already bought Housemarque. We know that Bluepoint and them could have something going on. Do you prefer that, or do you think it's more wise to buy a big established studio like Microsoft does? I think I'm okay with either, but I think I prefer what Sony's doing, because it's not really taking anything away from other gamers per se. Whereas if you buy studios that have games that were multi-plat, like Elder Scrolls or whatever, then you have a situation where you could see these games, people are losing out on being able to play them. So I think that when it comes to a thing like Deviation, they've never had a game put out, so nobody's losing anything. So if that goes to exclusive and Sony buys that studio, who cares? You know what I mean? You wouldn't know either way. So that's what I kind of look at when I see this, and I think, well, which way is the right way to do it? I don't really think there is a right way per se. Just for me personally, I think that the way Sony does it is right. Slap that like button. We're going to slap it. We're going to do some positivity. Positivity, slapping things, slap, slap, slap-a-roo. Crapgamer out.